Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. We got another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show here for you guys, coming at you on a Tuesday at noon. This is a really cool opportunity for me. We're going to be hanging out for a while. We're going to cover the waiver wire. I'm going to basically do as much info as I can in this video because I'm not going to be able to make videos for about 10 days or so. I might try and get to be able to do some videos for next weekend, but I'm going to be out of country. I'm going on my honeymoon to Scotland. We're leaving tomorrow. I got wedding pictures and a bunch of stuff going on this afternoon. So this is my last opportunity to make a video for a while. I might, if I have the ability, I might be able to do some stuff off the phone with some YouTube live stuff, but we'll see. Otherwise, I'm going to basically kind of treat it as a bye week. So I hope you guys understand. But let's get into this waiver wire report for this week. We got not a lot of juice, a little bit of juice. Let's cover it from the top here. Houston and Minnesota are on bye. We'll look at the favorite ads back at the top. But what we're going to do is let's cover this injury news, which we're in the middle of the season, man. Injury news is not fun right now. We have Lamar Jackson, hamstring, doubtful. They're saying that they might place Tyler Huntley, Snoop Huntley this weekend. Cooper Rush was bad. And they're getting the Rams might just come in here and carve this team up. I'm hoping the Ravens get a little bit healthier. We need a few more guys back to make this look better. Houston just absolutely clobbered them. I don't think we're going to get that bad of a game from the Ravens in week 6, but Lamar Jackson probably not playing this weekend. We'll see about week 7. I know they have a bye week coming up too. Maybe they hold him out for another game week 7, and I think their bye is week 8. I could be wrong. Brock Purdy, they pretty much said he's not playing, so Mac Jones, Superflex leagues, he's in play. The big one here for the running backs, before we get to Barkley, I want to talk about Omarion Hampton, who popped up with an ankle injury. He did not finish that game against the Commanders. He is headed to IR. So that's 4 games that he's going to be out. And we're going to talk about some of the running back options behind him later when I get down to the running backs. But that's a tough blow, man. The Chargers' offensive line's dinged up. Omarion Hampton now out. They've already lost Najee Harris. We're down to our 3rd and 4th string running backs in LA. I think if you have Justin Herbert and his receivers, you're feeling pretty good about the opportunities coming your way. But tough break here for Omarion Hampton. I will say, if you're 5-0, 4-1, go talk to the Omarion Hampton owner and see what he's doing. You might be able to buy low here on Omarion Hampton and hold on to him for a few weeks. But Saquon Barkley, he did pop up yesterday with a knee injury. He only had 6 carries the other day in week 5. He's saying he's expected to play, but I'm curious, man. Short week, maybe the workload's not quite there for him. If you have Saquon Barkley, you're going to play him, but there might be a little bit more work for Will Shipley and A.J. Dillon in this one. Bucky Irving with the foot and the shoulder. That was the new thing that popped up this weekend with Bucky, the shoulder injury. He's doubtful. I still have him probably missing week 7 as well. So Rashad White gets fired up at least 1 more week, probably 2 more weeks. Chuba Hubbard, man, I think just with and if you guys have watched the show, you guys know we love Rico Dowdle around here. Rico Dowdle was a fantastic player for the Cowboys last season, really good runner, and he ran for 200 yards. They might be like, hey, Chuba, let's get that calf right. Let's take 1 more week off here and see what happens. So I'm monitoring his reports tomorrow. I do think Rico Dowdle against his former Cowboys team is pretty exciting. So we'll see. If Chuba doesn't go, Rico obviously is a start. If Chuba does play, I think both guys, Rico might have forced the hand here. He might have forced a 50-50 split just because he looks so damn good. So big questions on Chuba. Jaylen Warren, I saw him practicing in a video earlier this morning. He looks like he's going to be on track to play. Tough game against Cleveland, but I think he's probably in your lineup if you have him. Tyrone Tracy, now they played Thursday night, and they're saying that he's on track to play, which is nice to see. That's going to take a little bit of steam off Cam Scatteraboo. Tyrone Tracy, man, if he was dropped, he's worth picking up. Cam Scatteraboo, as good as he's been, he plays crazy. Like he's reckless. Like the opportunity for him to maybe get picked up with an injury or something could happen. So I do think Tyrone Tracy should be stashed. He is the number, like I think it's clearly Cam Scadaboo is the number one for the Giants now, but Tracy should be added. I think Miles Sanders with the knee ankle, will watch his reports. He's just a handcuff. The big one here was Antonio Gibson, torn ACL, out for the year. And I know stock is up for Ramondre and Travion. So I was talking to my guy Justin, and he was getting an offer. He has Travion Henderson, and someone offered him Tony Pollard. And I'm like, you know what? It's been a bad run out for Travion the first 5 games, but this Gibson injury might just force their hand. So I think better days are ahead for Travion Henderson. He hasn't really looked good. He had the big preseason, but so far he just has not been able to get the volume or the trust of the coaches for certain things. They still like Ramondre in short yardage and goal line situations. So if you need somebody like Ramondre and Travion are both, RB3 flexes, which I like. And this might open up the door for both of them to be more involved, because that Sunday night game, it looked like Antonio Gibson was going to be a guy like a third running back in this offense. And he was like, I think he had 6 carries at the time. He was looking like a guy that could just totally blow this backfield up and just make everyone unusable. But his absence for the rest of the year, you got to think that's a big win for Ramondre and especially Travion. Now let's look at this receiver list. This is a huge receiver injury list. CeeDee Lamb, questionable with the ankle. I don't think he plays this week. I think you're going to see some limited practices. And they're going to say, oh, he has a chance to play. But I think they hold him out one more game here. They're headed to Carolina. This is a winnable game without CeeDee Lamb. I think they hold him out, give him one more week of rest. Week 7, we're looking at CeeDee Lamb being back. I think if you're 5-0, 4-1, go talk to the CeeDee Lamb owner. See what he needs. He might be 1-4, 2-3, that kind of thing. Buying low on CeeDee Lamb might be kind of fun right now. Xavier Worthy, he had the ankle thing pop up. He was on the plane and his ankle swelled up, which is weird. And then he did kind of tweak it last night. So we'll watch his reports tonight or tomorrow. And then Mike Evans hamstring, assuming he's doubtful. Terry McLaurin with the quad. They're saying good things. He might be playing this weekend, but I think he's more of a wide receiver 3 flex this week. The 49ers receivers, Ricky Pearsall with the knee, Juwan Jennings with the ankle ribs. We'll see how they go. They might be extra cautious. It looks like Mac Jones is going to draw the start in this one. And I think Kendrick Bourne, man, just because of how good he looked, maybe they give these guys one more week to heal and get ready for week 7. Because it sounds like week 7, like we have a chance for Brock Purdy, George Kittle, maybe Ricky and Juwan. Like we might get the whole 49ers spread for week 7, which will be exciting. Darnell Mooney is going to be questionable with the hamstring. I don't think Darius Slayton plays on Thursday Night Football with that hamstring. Calvin Austin, I saw an interview blurb about him maybe considering a stint on IR, so it doesn't look good for Calvin Austin. The Steelers need a number 2 receiver. They need to trade. I think they need to trade for somebody, whether it's Alan Lazard to get him back with Aaron Rodgers, or they look around and find somebody else. I think Calvin Austin injury could open up some moves for the Steelers. Kevontae Turpin probably going to be out this week, but if he does play, he's a wide receiver 3 flex, like a deep flex. And if he's out, if Turpin's out and CeeDee's out, I do think Ryan Flournoy looked like a guy that should get more work. So he's the waiver wire option for you. Christian Watson. Now he's been on this report for a while for me. Hopefully you've added him by now and stashed him on your IR, but he's going to be practicing this week for the Packers. I do not expect him to play in week 6. I think week 7 is more 50-50. Week 8, I think he's playing and then slowly ramping up his workload with snaps and things like that. So he's not going to be a fantasy start probably at any time in October, but November, once he gets ramped up, practicing snaps and routes and some conditioning, he might be a guy that interests us later in the season. Alec Pierce with a concussion. He missed last week, which we thought he was going to play. I think he plays this week and steps back into that number 2 role. You have Brock Bowers here with the knee injury. They're saying he's week to week. They got a week 8 bye. I think he's back after the bye. The Raiders are going nowhere fast. I mean, it's already looking like a lost season for the Raiders. They just have nothing going positive right now. and Geno Smith is playing pretty bad. So Brock Bowers knee injury. What are we like? Why? If he's not 100%, I don't want to see him out there on the field. So it's looking pretty bad for Brock Bowers. I do think if you need a tight end this week, Michael Mayer could be a guy worth stashing for the next few weeks. He could have a nice couple, week 6, 7. That could be a nice opportunity for Mayer. George Kittle, again, they're saying he's likely back week 7. Don't expect him in this week 6. Brenton Strange had the hip injury last night. We don't have any information on that yet. So we'll watch those reports tomorrow. Colston Loveland with the hip injury after the bye. We'll see if he goes. Tyler Higbee, who cares? Jatavian Sanders, ankle questionable. I would like to see Jatavian Sanders back, so we'll watch those reports this week. I did have Michael Mayer missing with a concussion, and then Will Dissly continues to miss with a knee. I'm going to look at the quarterbacks next, but I'm going to talk to Trone Force here. He was offered DK and White to a CD owner this morning. And that could actually be that's a good deal, man. Not only are you offering something pretty sweet with Rachaad White right now, who just scored 2 touchdowns. Like, sure, Rachaad White has this nice pocket of value for the next, at least this week and next week, because I just don't expect Bucky Irving to play week 7. So you're offering something pretty sweet with Rachaad White, and then just the downgrade to CeeDee Lamb to DK Metcalf. That's still not a bad downgrade. And then you're plugging in a startable. So that's a really good offer there. I like that. And we talked about buying low on CeeDee Lamb. A couple other guys you can maybe swing some trades at right now. I think CeeDee Lamb opportunity is going to look pretty good if you can get a trade for him right now. Alrighty. Let's talk about quarterbacks this week. If you guys need someone, again, I mean, CJ Stroud and the Vikings are on bye, so you probably don't need a quarterback unless, I don't know, you had something go wrong or Lamar Jackson, whatever. But Matthew Stafford at Baltimore is the ideal waiver wire ad this week if you need a quarterback. I do think Jackson Dart he looked bad against the Saints. Like, he looked like a rookie, but he's still going to get that rushing upside, which makes him a fringe QB1 every week. But you got to just, if you go and start Jackson Dart, you got to expect some dumb throws, potential fumbles, some weird plays. He's still a rookie. He's kind of running hot. But I think Jackson Dart could be a start for you this week. I thought Trevor Lawrence looked fantastic last night. Everyone's going to make – I'm probably one of the biggest Trevor Lawrence backers, and I was very happy with how last night went. For him to rally back down 14 points behind, had the goal. They were this close from having that ball pushed across the end zone in the first quarter to make that game more interesting. So he could have had 3 rushing touchdowns, which would have been a huge day. But the fact that they were able to rally against the Chiefs, put together a 2-minute drill at the end of the game, had Brian Thomas Jr. for some big plays. He looked good with his legs. I think Trevor Lawrence and the Jags are a good team. And I think everyone kind of saw that last night, that they're going to be a competitive, well-coached, competitive team. So Lawrence versus Seattle at home intrigues me. Not so much Tua, but he's a super flex option. No Geno, no Bryce Young for me. Michael Penix against Buffalo is interesting. I think Buffalo's defense is bad. So that I think that's a Monday night game. That could be kind of fun. You got Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and Bijan catching passes. That could be an interesting spot. I think Sam Darnold right now, though, I mean, he's playing lights out quarterback. I know he had the interception at the end of the game against Tampa Bay, but everything is humming for him. Jackson Smith and the Jigba looks good. He's got a tight end now in AJ Barner making some moves, and then Cooper Kupp, Torrey Horton, you got a couple weapons there, and the running backs, of course. Seattle's offense is pretty good. So for me, it's Stafford, consider Dart, but Lawrence and Darnold, I think that game could be kind of fun. Super flex leagues, you're kind of looking at this junk. If Mac Jones is out there, you can fire him up in super flex leagues. Dylan Gabriel should have been picked up last week, and then I'm just not even going to bother with Cooper Rush. If you guys do need to stash some quarterbacks in a super flex league, maybe Carson Wentz is worth holding on to. It's tough because it's their bye week, and then JJ McCarthy's ready for next week. So I cut Carson Wentz in the league that I had him, but he might be a guy we talk about later in the year if JJ McCarthy gets hurt again, because I thought Wentz looked good for fantasy. Mariota, with Jaden Daniels now healthy, maybe he's just kind of like a fringe hold. But Shedeur Sanders, I don't know. We need to see more Dylan Gabriel. I thought Gabriel looked composed, and he looked like he can start probably the rest of season unless he's injured. But we'll monitor the Cleveland Brown situation. Anthony Richardson, if Daniel Jones gets hurt, like Richardson's a really expensive free agent guy. So like if you have a spot at the end of your bench and it's like Saturday morning and you're like, you know what, I'm going to cut Carson Wentz and pick up Anthony Richardson for 2 days and see what happens. I think that's fine. Otherwise, maybe we see Tyler Shuck at some point. He's kind of the next man to get called up that I feel should be stashed. Let's talk about the running backs this week. You guys play in hopefully some competitive leagues. When I do these waiver wire charts, I use 60% on ESPN and below as my threshold for putting guys on the list. So Rico Dowdle and Michael Carter, yeah, they should have been picked up last week. But if they're out there, please, please, please go and add them. I want Michael Carter first. He's my priority number one because he's going to continue to start and be the lead back. But Rico Dowdle might be a guy that's more involved. And hey, good afternoon to Aiden. Hope you're doing well. We're doing good on a Jags. It's Tuesday with a Tuesday victory. Jacksonville looked pretty fun last night. So cheers to Aiden. Happy Jacksonville Tuesday win. But Michael Carter, to me, is the lead back for Arizona. He did rack up the carries. He had 5 catches in that game. He didn't have a lot of yardage output, but he's very clearly their lead back. I think DeMercado is he's Justice Hill. He's a third down long and distance back. He should have had the touchdown, but game was out of hand and they were rotating back. So Carter is the clear lead back for Arizona. Again, Rico Dowdle should have been picked up already, but if he's there, go ahead and do it. I think Kenneth Gainwell, man, he's just one of those guys that I wouldn't mind just putting on my bench, and we're going to get to this here shortly here. But I just want to say Kenneth Gainwell, if he lingered on your bye week bench or on your waiver wire, he's worth just putting on your bench and seeing what happens. He's a good player. He looked good in their system. I kind of want to get Kareem Hunt on this list too. I thought Kareem Hunt looked good last night, and he's just kind of their banger. He's their goal line guy. He's got a good chance at a touchdown every game. Kendre Miller, we should talk about Kendre Miller for a sec because he forced a pretty good split with Alvin Kamara. Like Kamara's workload is going down. His snaps are going down. Kamara's still going to be out there getting, 8 to 12 carries per game and getting the targets. But Kendre Miller had more rushing attempts in a game last week against the Giants. So Miller is the guy that I see his workload maybe growing as the season goes on. Maybe Alvin Kamara is a trade candidate too. We'll see about that. But Kendre Miller, I want him on my bench. And then I do want Isaiah Davis on my bench. He's a receiving back for the Jets. He looked good, had some moments in that game on Sunday. And Breece Hall left that game briefly. He was down on the floor. He had to get walked off back to the locker room for a little bit. I think Isaiah Davis is a premier handcuff right now with some weekly upside because he's going to get out there for receiving work. I thought Brashard Smith looked good last night. He's only an injury away to Pacheco or Kareem Hunt from getting more meaningful reps. And they've been continually to ramp up his snaps, his routes, his participation, and they kind of dialed him up some plays, which I like to see. So Brashard Smith is a stash. And then let's talk about this Chargers backfield. Hassan Haskins and Kimani Vidal. Haskins has been active for the Chargers game so far because he plays a little bit of special teams, and he's been, around. He knows the system. He's trustworthy, and he plays special teams. So Haskins, while he might not be an impressive player, he's going to be what the coaches asked him. Think of him as like a Jamal Williams, if you will. He's a guy that, you need 3 yards, he'll get you 3. If you need 5 yards, he'll get you 3. That's what he's going to do. And he might be their goal line back. He's a bigger body, a little bit slower back. But I think Haskins is a guy that the coaches trust. Vidal is more of the electric juice to this backfield. He might be out there in receiving spots, third down, long and distance, 2-minute drill. They might be looking for Vidal's way. I think there's a chance Vidal is a better runner than Haskins, though. So they're probably gonna give these touches to both of these guys. Haskins, if I had to bet against the Dolphins, it's a good opportunity. I think both running backs will be running back 3s this week. With Haskins, though, you're gonna need him to score a touchdown to make your day. So if you think he's got a chance to score a touchdown, go after Haskins. To me, I think Kimani Vidal, who might get fewer touches, is going to look better on those fewer touches. And if you play at a PPR league, I think he's going to be more likely to catch passes, whether it's 2-3 passes per game, get 5 to 8 carries per game. And who knows, like if Vidal, pops up his first couple runs for some big gains, maybe they just do a hot hand approach here. So I'm actually leaning towards Vidal being the better ad, because I think in a PPR league, that's where I want to be. If you play in strictly a standard, where touchdowns are king league, I would say Haskins might be the guy. But they did put Vidal. We had that final red zone drive for the Chargers on Sunday against the Commanders. Vidal, like Haskins started that drive, but as they got closer to the end zone, Vidal was in there. Vidal had a -3-yard carry from the 2-yard line. So they gave him a red zone opportunity. So I really don't know if Haskins is the guy that I want to spend. I think I'm going to put bids on both Haskins and Vidal, and I'm probably hoping that I get Vidal between the two, because I think he offers a little bit more upside. Younger player, we don't really quite know what we have in him, but I think it might be one of those things where less is more, where Haskins is getting 10 carries for 38 yards and the opportunity for a touchdown carry. But Vidal's out there. If Vidal's out there, catches 3 for 20 and he gets 5 for 25 yards as a runner, that might be equal to what Haskins gets. So I think it's a full-on committee, but I'm going to lean towards Vidal being the guy. So what percentage of FOB would you spend on Haskins in a deep league? And keep in mind, like, this is only a 4-week opportunity here for Haskins and Vidal. So I don't want to blow the bank. If I needed a starting running back for week 2 or starting running back 2 for this week, it's probably no more than 10% of my free agent auction bucks that I'm spending on Haskins. And honestly, I'm probably hoping for Vidal. I think the Chargers just might throw the ball 40, 45 times per game. They're playing the Dolphins this week, and the Dolphins are one of the worst teams against quarterbacks. I think you could see a big opportunity for Justin Herbert to throw the ball. So not super excited about Haskins. I put the stars on Haskins. I might actually have to change that. So put bids on both guys, but don't blow the bank on these guys. I think if we look at it, you're basically praying for a touchdown. Otherwise, these guys are just going to be kind of low points. There's a list of deeper stashes on here. You guys can check out thefantasyfellowship.com and become a member to see that stuff. So it was an ugly win, but I think the Jags kicked their butts. We're talking about a fraction of an inch that Trevor Lawrence almost put that ball over the goal line. So that's 7 points missed there. They did that Chiefs Juju Smith-Schuster pick for the Kelsey touchdown. That was kind of that to me, that penalty should have probably stayed, and maybe they forced a field goal or something there. So that's some points there that could have changed. And then the big one was the bogus no call on the pass interference to Parker Washington. I mean, clearly interfered with, couldn't finish his route. Trevor Lawrence threw to the spot. It was a timing route. Sure, Lawrence maybe didn't need to throw the ball, but it was clear pass interference, and that significantly changed the game. So to me, I thought the Jags kicked their butt. Pat Mahomes made the big mistake with the pick six, but otherwise, I don't think Lawrence. He gets made fun of a lot for a lot of the things. He's picking his nose. He's throwing a weird turnover, fumbling on the goal line. But I thought Lawrence outplayed Pat Mahomes. All righty. If you need a wide receiver this week, and yeah, Frosty, good morning, good afternoon, whatever you need. Early stream. I'm leaving for Scotland. I'm going to Edinburgh tomorrow. I'm going on my honeymoon. So I'm going to be out tomorrow. So no live streams Wednesday, Thursday night this week. I'm not going to be back until Friday of next week. So I apologize. Fantasy content, fantasy streams will not be happening for the next 10 days or so. But I will be back next Friday. I might even, hop on the stream on Friday and get you guys set up for week 7. But if you guys are members on the website, I do plan on trying to update as much as I can from my phone during the week as far as rankings, waiver wire, that kind of stuff. So if you guys are members, I will do my best. Before we get to the receivers, let me ask or answer Frosty's question. What do we do with BTJ and Chase Brown? So I think if you have Brian Thomas Jr., like you're feeling better. He finally made a big time catch. And so I look at PFF's numbers, and that was the first big time throw by Trevor Lawrence of the year, by the way, that they've graded. But a huge moment, 2-minute drive to put them into the range to get the touchdown. Brian Thomas Jr., 33-yard catch. Lawrence drops it in the bucket, and BTJ takes a hit doing it. I was impressed with Brian Thomas Jr. and Trevor Lawrence yesterday. So what do we do with BTJ? I'm like, if someone doesn't want him, I'm trying to buy low on BTJ. I think he's still a fringe wide receiver 1, but he's been playing like a wide receiver 2 the last couple games, and I think better days are ahead. Touchdowns are going to come in bunches for him. He's been 5 games without a touchdown. They're going to come for BTJ soon. Chase Brown, if you have him in a PPR league, you're fine. If you have him in a standard or half PPR, you're kind of like, what do I do? But the fact that they got blown out for 2 games. They made a comeback against the Lions, which was nice to see some fight. And the yards weren't there, but the catches are there. So if you have him in a PPR league, I think you're fine with Chase Brown as a low-end RB2. But if you have him in a standard or half PPR league, I'm probably trying to move on from him. Maybe I wait till he scores a touchdown. I think touchdowns will come for him eventually. If they can find a way to get inside the 5-yard line, he'll get some opportunities. But I think you're excited about BTJ going forward. He finally had a decent day, 12 fantasy points. And just here's my thing with Brian Thomas Jr. is it's been about as bad of a start for him as possible, but every game has been fine for fantasy. In a PPR league, he's been 9, 8, 10, 12 points. Like, it's not like he's out there getting zeros for us. So I think big days are ahead. Once he starts scoring touchdowns, we're going to enjoy Brian Thomas Jr. And yeah, I thought Calvin Ridley, that was a big moment for him. I think playing injured too, like we didn't know if he was going to play all week. But for them to have big plays from Calvin Ridley and get the win, I think that's a good sign of things to continue. But let's talk about the receivers real quick here. Rashid Shaheed, man, I've gotten a ton of questions on Rashid Shaheed throughout the year. And I think he's a guy that I just want in my lineup every week because he's been steady with those 9-10 fantasy points per game in PPR leagues. And then, yeah, you have that opportunity to get the huge touchdown every week because he's just so damn fast. So Shaheed, I think he's in the top 36 of my rest of season rankings, which are updated on the site. So Rashid Shaheed would be a priority for me. Hollywood Brown, Darnell Mooney, I just don't care about those guys enough, especially in a redraft league. It's like, what am I doing with these guys on my bench? I'm never going to feel good starting them on a weekly basis. I'd rather get some upside elsewhere. But Romeo Doubs, man, if he was not added over the bye week for the Packers, he's Jordan Love's guy. He's going to be the red zone look with him and Kraft. Dobbs should be picked up. I thought Troy Franklin still looks good as a wide receiver 4, first guy off your bench. Downs, Ayo Maynard, Ayuk, Slayton, Kirk. These guys are fine if you need to find someone to put on the bottom of your bench. But I want to keep saying Jalen Coker is probably practicing this week for the Panthers. He's going to probably step right into that number 2 receiver role with targets. And I think he could be a nice add for us the rest of the season. I do think Kendrick Bourne might have forced something here going forward. Ricky Pearsall and Juwan Jennings are both banged up. I think Kendrick Bourne is probably a play this week. Should be added in all leagues. Christian Watson should have been probably added already, but he's practicing this week. He's got a chance to play in week 7 or 8. Isaiah Bond, if you need somebody in deeper leagues. And then if you need somebody just for this week, I think CeeDee Lamb and Turpin are both out. Flournoy looked good. Might as well see what he can do. And then I do have a list of deep stashes there. You guys can check that out on the website. So they both have different things going on. I think Michael Carter, with Trey Benson, they basically said, hey, he's going to be out 4 games, but they left the window open 4 to 6 games. So I'm thinking you have a longer run with Michael Carter being the lead back. They do have some tough opponents coming up, but I just think, he caught 5 passes. He had double-digit carries. He's going to be I'd rather play Michael Carter than Chase Brown. So I do feel good about Michael Carter for the next month or so. And even when Trey Benson gets back, we don't know when he's getting back. And two, we don't know if he's going to be 100% when he gets back. And maybe by then, Michael Carter is just, he's going to continue to be a thing in the Cardinals offense. So I think Carter has longer staying power. And then, yeah, the calf injury for Chuba. Yeah, I mean, just Rico Dowdle just ran for 200 yards, man. I know it was the Dolphins, but he proved something that he deserves more touches. So I think the opportunity when Chuba comes back, I mean, there's a chance Rico Dowdle might have just stole this job. Like we don't really know what it's going to be, but I do think when Chuba comes back, we're looking at a kind of a messy split that we're not going to be super excited about. For Rico to win and to pay off. So here's my thought for the next month. I would rather have Michael Carter. For the rest of season, though, I might prefer Rico Dowdle, if that makes sense. Because the re-injury risk for Chuba could be greater than with Trey Benson coming back. So that's kind of how I view that. Oh no, Joe Flacco just got traded to Cincinnati. Let me hit some refreshers here. So the Bengals never called the Giants, but man, Joe Flacco. All right, you think they're going to start him this week against the Packers? I mean, he already beat the Packers once this year. Wow. So, I guess you could probably add Shedeur Sanders in Superflex leagues. Joe Flacco is back on the menu here. Joe Flacco should be a priority in Superflex leagues this week. And hell yeah, Chase Brown's stock does move up. Like Joe Flacco is a check down king. He provides more fruit for the offense in general. Again, I don't know if he's going to play this week. I would assume he's probably playing this weekend, but this gives a breath of life to the Bengals offense as a whole. So good news for Chase Brown owners. I'm going to cover the tight ends real quick, and then we'll get into some more news. But Darren Waller, I put him in my top 12 rest of season rankings this morning. He's a stud. He's going to continue to get more work. I thought Mason Taylor, we talked about him last week. He's a guy that caught a lot of underneath stuff from Justin Fields. He's not going to be, a big yards after. He is a yards after catch guy, but the dink and dunk for Justin Fields is there with Mason Taylor. So I think I moved him in my top 20 tight ends rest of season. And then Theo Johnson, man, if he's going to continue to rack up targets and touchdowns from Jackson Dart, he looks like a fun ad. Continue to monitor Bretton Strange's reports. Harold Fannin Jr. did catch a touchdown from Dylan Gabriel, so he's still a hold. Dalton Schultz continues to look good. If you can find a way to get him, on your team throughout the bye week here for Houston, he looks like a top 15 tight end or so. And then Jake Tonjes, one more start for him this weekend. I thought AJ Barner looked really good for the Seahawks last week. He might be a guy that continues to get more work. And then Michael Mayer, if Brock Bowers is missing a few games, he could be looked at for the next few games. If you need a defense this week, and Broncos, Seahawks, Steelers, Eagles, Browns, these guys are probably owned. If you need a defense this week, Packers might have been dropped over their bye. The Rams are exciting, and the Colts at home against Arizona. You can maybe look at the Patriots against New Orleans, Chargers at Miami, maybe. I think the Jags defense is pretty good. They keep generating turnovers and hits and touchdowns and things like that. And then maybe the Commanders, maybe the Titans at Las Vegas. But that's the whole waiver wire report for you guys. I'm going to just take a quick 30-second break. I'm just going to run to the bathroom real quick here. I've been drinking a lot of coffee and now I'm working on a Celsius here. But we'll come back and we'll talk about this Bengals offense here. So just give me 30 seconds real quick. I'll be right back in a flash. Alrighty, and we're back. So I don't like Celsius. My wife just drinks them, and I just decided to grab one today. But this is maybe like the second or third Celsius that I've had, so it's not bad mixed with a little vodka, if I'm being honest. But we'll enjoy it. But yeah, let's talk about this potential offense here for Cincinnati. Offensive line is really bad for Cincinnati. Flacco not very mobile, so that does concern me a little bit. But I do think he's going to provide some stability. He's going to probably make T. Higgins a little bit more exciting with some of the big throws and the opportunities he can give to him. Maybe the tight ends are going to kind of come into play. But yeah, you got to think this is going to provide a boost for all Jags. If I just look real quick, let's just take a look at my rest of season ranks that I put out this morning. We'll go down to the running backs. I had Chase Brown down here at RB27. I had Rico here at 32 and Chuba here at 26. I might be willing to move Chase Brown up a few spots here, maybe to above Tony Pollard. We're seeing, potential for Tajay Spears to get more workload. But Chase Brown probably maybe moves up to the Alvin Kamara spot. So a slight boost for Chase Brown. I think with the receivers, I'll probably move Jamar Chase up. I did have him down here at number 9 or at number 8. Looks like I got to update my ranking numbers here. But I'll probably move Jamar Chase back up here, maybe to above Garrett Wilson, Nico Collins. I think maybe over Emeka Egbuka as well. So we'll give Jamar Chase a boost. T. Higgins I kind of had buried for a bit. I had T. Higgins down here at wide receiver 37. I'm probably going to move him, right next to DK Metcalf, Marvin Harrison. So we'll give him a slight boost. I don't really care about the tight ends. We'll worry about that another time. But for this week, and since, I got time here and I'm not going to be able to do a video tomorrow night. So I thought maybe we talk about the games this week. So if you guys are members of the fellowship, you guys get access to these start sit charts, which I think are very valuable, as well as my weekly rankings. But Thursday night football, you're starting Hurts, Barkley, AJ Brown, Devonta Smith if you have them. I had Dallas Goedert just outside my top 12 tight end rankings. He's a play if you need somebody. If you had, I don't know, if you had Dalton Schultz or maybe TJ Hawkinson, maybe Goddard's a guy for you. And then on the Giants side, I think Dart, he's a fringe QB1. He's more of a QB2 in Superflex. You're starting Scattaboo if you have him. I think Wan'Dale Robinson is fine in PPR leagues as a flex. Theo Johnson, I did have ranked as a tight end 1, and then I don't think Darius Slayton's going to play. So I'm not really looking forward to that game on Thursday Night Football. Alrighty, I'm excited about the London game. Broncos-Jets, I think it's going to be a good show. Even though the Jets are bad football, they do make games interesting in the fourth quarter, to say the least. If you have Bronco players, I think Bo Nix, I do have him ranked as a QB1. Let me look at the fantasy points allowed to the quarterback spots here, because I think the Jets are still among the worst. And hey, I see about 20 plus people in the chat or in the live stream. If you guys are new to the fellowship, definitely like the video, subscribe if you are new. But I have a bunch of free content on the website here, a ton of membership content. But if you guys want to check out the fellowship and look at the free stuff, I do have fantasy points allowed here, which I think is a nice tool, and it helps me make decisions throughout the week. Let's go ahead and take a look here at the quarterback points allowed. The New York Jets here, they rank 26th. They've given up 11 passing touchdowns on the year, no rushing touchdowns, but they're giving up 20 points a game. So I do like Bo Nix quite a bit in this game. J.K. Dobbins is kind of locked into a nice running back 2 role with the touchdown upside and double-digit carries every week. Cortland Sutton remains one of the best receivers, I think, in football right now. He's playing great football. He can be a wide receiver 2. And then if you need somebody in deeper formats, Troy Franklin, wide receiver 3 flex, go ahead and start that Broncos defense. Think about Evan Ingram. RJ Harvey, man, Sean Payton's one of the most frustrating coaches in the league for me, because he just continues to tease us with things. He's going to play 4 tight ends and play around Evan Ingram's role. He's going to play 3 or 4 running backs and steal away from potential RJ Harvey as RB2 usage. So those guys will be on the bench for me. If you're starting Jets this week, it's Fields, it's Brees, Garrett Wilson, Mason Taylor, and then I do think Isaiah Davis should be picked up on the waiver wire this week. All right. Arizona at Indy. Kyler Murray not playing good football. QB2 for Superflex leagues. I'm looking elsewhere in QB1 leagues. I think Michael Carter will continue to be a running back too. Marvin Harrison's looking better. I do think that's the one part of the offense that I'm seeing improvement towards is more Marvin Harrison Jr. attention, but it's kind of at Trey McBride's expense. Like they're not dinking and dunking to Trey McBride like they did last year. So there's a little bit of give and take with these guys. I think both Harrison and McBride are plays though. Say no to the Cardinals defense, and then we're going to leave these jokesters on the bench. For the Colts, yeah, Daniel Jones could be used as a quarterback one if you needed to. He's more of a super flex option. Jonathan Taylor, man, just looks fantastic. So congrats if you drafted Jonathan Taylor in the second or third round of your draft. Michael Pittman also was a huge winner from the draft value. He looks like a must-start wide receiver too. Josh Downs, if you need somebody in a deep PPR league, I think he's fine. And then Tyler Warren, another winner on this Colts offense. Go ahead and start that Colts defense if you got him. Chargers at Dolphins. Again, we talked at length about the Haskins-Vidal situation. I think the Chargers are just going to open it up and throw the ball a ton against the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins here rank 30th against the quarterback here. They've allowed 9 passing touchdowns, 4 rushing touchdowns, and about 1,100 passing yards. So you can throw the ball and you can run the ball as a quarterback against the Dolphins. We'll see if Justin Herbert, who had the big, he had a big yardage day against the Commanders. We'll see if Herbert can, get some points with his legs and his arms. But I think he's a top 5 quarterback for a little bit here. And then, I want to find a way to get Keenan, Quentin, and Ladd in my lineups. One of the things that I've been doing this year specifically is just advising caution to these murky backfields. Like, we don't know what Vidal and Haskins are going to be. I don't want to risk throwing out Vidal and getting 4 points or throwing out Haskins and getting just 32 rushing yards, right? So I'm open to seeing what I have here and just leaving one of these guys on the bench and, and seeing what we could do with these guys in the future. It's a good matchup, but I don't really have a lot of faith in either of these 2 running backs for this week to say that I want to start them. But if you need somebody, again, I think you can whip them out and see what happens. Chargers defense is startable. We'll monitor Gadsden here. I got to move Hampton to the IR. If you need Dolphins, you're starting Devon Achane and Jalen Waddle and Darren Waller. I think 2 is fine in Superflex leagues. Say no to that defense in Miami. And then Ollie Gordon remains a handcuff option. Malik Washington, kind of a poor man's Wan'Dale Robinson. He could be added in PPR leagues if you need somebody. And let's talk about the Browns and the Steelers now, man. So I don't have Dylan Gabriel ranked as a super flex option. I think it's a tough ask. Playing in Pittsburgh is his second game. He did look good against the Vikings, but probably not in my top 25 quarterbacks. Quinshon Judkins, though, continues to look awesome. Like, he looks so good. He had that big touchdown called back from a holding penalty. He's going to have a big day one of these days. Keep plugging him in. He's kind of a fringe RB1 more than an RB2. So I love what I'm seeing from Judkins. And then the tight ends were the guys. I mean, they had half the targets last week. I think Njoku's back as a tight end 1 option. Browns are startable on defense. They just generate a lot of pressures and turnover potential. But I'm going to leave all these other guys on the bench if I can. On the Steelers side of things, I think Rodgers is okay as a super flex option. He's usually been good for a touchdown or 2. Jalen Warren, it looks like he's on track to play. He's a running back 2 flex in PPR leagues. Kenneth Gainwell can be a deeper PPR flex if you need somebody. Keep firing up DK Metcalf. We know Metcalf's going to catch his 3, 4, 5 catches. He's going to probably have a big play or 2, and he's got a touchdown upside every week. Start that Steelers defense against this rookie-laden Browns team, and then we'll leave these guys on the bench. 49ers at Tampa Bay. Again, we're assuming no Brock Purdy in this one. We'll get more practice reports on these guys tomorrow, but I'm not really having a lot of faith in Ricky Pearsall or Jawan Jennings. So I think if you need somebody this week, Kendrick Bourne could be kind of fun. Jake Tonjes looked pretty good. I'm not sure. Let's see how the Buccaneers are fantasy-wise. So this is a fun chart that shows quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, tight ends, and then I sum it all up here in the total points column. Tampa Bay's defense here, they are pretty generous against quarterbacks, and they let tight end points up here. So I don't know why. I guess I kind of messed that up. I got to get that column switched. But Tampa Bay against Jake Tonjes. I think Tonjes is in play as a fringe tight end 1. Maybe the 49ers defense, but probably not. And then again, just a lot of practice reports we're going to need from this 49ers side. On Tampa Bay side, Baker Mayfield, man, he just continues to put up points. He's a top 10 quarterback. Rashad White is going to get a start for me. Emeka Egbuka, congrats if you grabbed Egbuka in the 6th, 7th, 8th round of your drafts. If you need somebody kind of deeper leagues, Godwin could be a guy that you throw out there in PPR. And then maybe the Bucs defense. I just think Mac Jones, man, he looked awesome. He looked like a god on Thursday Night Football, but he does have some risky plays. Maybe it's a Bucs day. It's in Tampa Bay. That could be kind of nice. And then Evans, Bucky, both doubtful for this one. Cowboys-Panthers, man. I'm excited about this game. Panthers showed a little bit of life, especially with Rico Dowdle. I have him ranked as a running back too. I have Chuba Hubbard down here as questionable. We'll watch those reports. Bryce Young's just a super flex option. And I think if you have Ted McMillan, you've been pretty happy with what you've had so far. So keep starting him. Say no to the Panthers defense. And then, yeah, Jalen Coker should be added in deeper formats. I don't care about Xavier Legette. He got a touchdown. That's fine. But overall, Panthers are pretty easy to dissect. We'll just watch those Chuba updates. Cowboys, yeah, you're starting Dak Prescott, Javonte, George Pickens, and oh my God, Jake Ferguson's just on a different planet right now. Maybe the Cowboys defense, just because Bryce Young's turnover prone. And then I am expecting CeeDee Lamb to be out. We'll watch Sanders versus Jaden Blue. I don't know if we care about that. And then if Turpin and CeeDee Lamb are out, Ryan Flournoy could be spot started as a wide receiver 3 flex this week. This might be one of the better games of the week 6 timeline here. Seahawks at Jags. I have both Sam Darnold and Trevor Lawrence ranked as QB2s. I think they're both kind of fringe QB1s this week. We just saw the Seahawks get into a really high-scoring game against Tampa Bay. We could be into the same thing here. Jags defense finally let some passing points up through the air here. So maybe we see Darnold and Trevor trading touchdowns here. I think if you have ETN, you're playing him. If you have Kenneth Walker, you're playing him. Charbonnet remains a thorn in the side of Kenneth Walker, getting out there for passing situations, third downs, 2-minute drills. And lately, it's been the goal line back situational stuff for Charbonnet. So he's definitely in play for flex RB3 material. You're starting JSN, you're starting BTJ. Cooper Kupp is more of a question. I have him more ranked as a wide receiver 4, so I'm being a little more optimistic here. We'll watch Bretton Strange, who I need to label as questionable. I think both defenses are startable just because both quarterbacks tend to make some plays every now and then that could get some points for the defense. AJ Barner, though, if you guys need somebody in a pinch this week, Barner could be a tight end for you. And then we're going to leave these other guys on the bench. But I will say Travis Hunter, man, it might be starting to happen. It might be starting to happen for him. He had the big play from Trevor Lawrence. He also had a couple nice plays where he caught the ball on a shallow route and made a lot of yards after the catch. Maybe there's something here starting for Travis Hunter where he could be a wide receiver 3 flex going forward. So some good optimism there. Rams, Ravens. You're starting your Rams, man. Stafford, Kieran, Puka, Devontae. If you're in a deep league and you need somebody for a running back 2 this week, maybe Corum gets some run in the second half of this game because I do think the Rams are going to take it. Start that Rams defense. I don't know who the quarterback is going to be for the Ravens. They've been kind of mentioning Tyler Huntley could be the guy. Maybe it's Cooper Rush one more time. We'll have to watch for that this week. But if you have Henry, you're going to leave him in your lineup. He got the touchdown last weekend. You were fine. Zay Flowers is probably the only receiving option I want in my lineup. And then everything else, I'm just going to leave on the bench here. I don't have a lot of hope and faith in the Ravens without Lamar. This is the ugliest game of the week. The Titans at the Raiders. Ugly, ugly, ugly. You're playing Ashton Genty for sure. Tony Pollard remains, they're saying Tajay Spears might get some more work going forward, which is fine. But I still think Tony Pollard remains the lead back, whether he gets 12 to 15 carries, 2 to 3 catches in this one. He is kind of their goal line back too. So I think if you have Pollard, he's still a low-end RB2. But Calvin Ridley, who we were talking about earlier, he might be back. This Raiders defense, this Raiders team is just bad. I think Calvin Ridley could have a nice day against this team. So I'm intrigued here. I'm assuming Brock Bowers is going to be out, so I'm going to probably move him down and move Michael Mayer. No, I'm going to leave Michael Mayer here on the bench, but Brock Bowers probably out. Jacoby Myers, wide receiver 3 option in PPR leagues. And then Trey Tucker actually has been looking pretty good this year. He might be a guy worth throwing out there if you need somebody in a pinch this week. Titans, we're not using any of these guys this week. I should probably add Gunnar Helm, the tight end here for the Titans. He's a guy that I think is going to get more work as the year goes on. And they might just have to evolve into a 2 tight end system, because I think Chico Conco is still valuable as a receiver, and Gunnar Helm offers upside as a receiver as well, but he's more of a prototypical guy that can do some blocking and help the run game kind of stuff. So I think we maybe see the Titans evolve into more 2 tight end stuff. Patriots at Saints. This might be a sneaky good game. The Patriots, fresh off their big Sunday night game at Buffalo, you're starting Patriots if you have them. I think Drake May, top 5, top 10 QB option. Stephon Diggs, man, it's looking really good for Diggs right now. He is a stud this week against the Saints. The running backs. I gave Ramondre Stevenson the RB2 treatment just because he's the goal line back. Henderson, if you need somebody, though, like all the snaps are going to these 2 guys now. I think they're back on track here to both being RB2 flexes. Hunter Henry can be your tight end if you need it. Start that Patriots defense. Leave these guys on the bench. I'll move Gibson to out. The Saints remain fantasy relevant. Spencer Rattler, Superflex leagues, I'm fine with. Alvin Kamara continues to be a volume guy at RB2. Kendre Miller, though, he should be picked up in all formats. I think he's a guy that's going to get more work as the year goes on. You're starting Olave if you have him, and I think Rashid Shaheed has earned a start as a wide receiver 3 flex. Juwan Johnson, he had a nice month, man. September was really fun, but it's looking like it's fizzling out here. We're not going to trust it now that Taysom Hill and Foster Moreau are both back. I'm going to need to update these charts. The Bengals at the Packers, man. Joe Flacco, I'll probably plug him in as a QB2 against the Packers. Chase Brown, I'm going to move up to RB2 material. I'm going to leave Jamar Chase as a wide receiver 1, and I'm going to keep T. Higgins as a wide receiver 3 flex. Never Bengals defense, obviously. And then the tight ends, Yoshivas, P. Ryan, don't really care. But the Packers, we do care about. I think Jordan Love, they finally had to open it up against the Cowboys and show some passing chops. And against the Bengals, I think they're going to do the same thing. They're going to open it up and make some big plays in the passing game. So Love is a top 10, top 12 quarterback 1. You're starting Jacobs if you have him. I think at this point, if you have Romeo Doubs, man, just put him out there. You might, get a game where he's only 3 for 32 or something like that. But he is a touchdown opportunity every week at this point. And then I do think bigger days are ahead for Matthew Golden. He's yet to score a touchdown, but he's had double-digit PPR points in weeks 3 and 4. And he's just inches away from some big touchdowns happening. You have Tucker Kraft, you're starting him. Start that Packers D against Joe Flacco, and then we'll monitor these guys on the bench. Sunday Night Football, Lions-Chiefs, man. We get another primetime game for the Chiefs. This is a good-ass game here. The Chiefs coming into this one 2-3. They're at home. This is the last game without Rashee Rice, by the way. I think if you have Mahomes, you're playing him. You have Worthy, you're playing him. I'm probably going to move Hunt and Pacheco right here to this RB3 flex spot. I think both guys are fine. I'd rather play Kareem Hunt with the touchdown opportunities versus Pacheco, who I thought looked good last night, but he's not going to take away volume and be a must-start player. And I will say Brashard Smith is still a guy I want on my fantasy bench. Kelsey, yeah, you're starting him. The Chiefs defense is startable, but I don't feel great about it. And I think the Lions are pretty simple, man. You're like Goff is a super flex quarterback 2. You have Gibbs, you're playing him. Montgomery might be phased out of this game just because the way the Chiefs play football, like they're going to ball hog. They're going to take their time dinking and dunking down the field. That's what they kind of do. They'll make big plays at Tyquan Thornton and things like that, but they tend to win the time of possession, and I just don't know if that's a David Montgomery game for me on Sunday Night Football. You're playing Amon-Ra. You're playing Laporta. We're benching Jameson Williams until further notice, so he's on the milk carton. We'll see if he can get back into our trust, but for now he's not. But fun game. This is a game, really nice primetime Sunday Night Football game. And then we got 2 Monday Night Football games. Buffalo at Atlanta. The Bills are easy. You're starting Allen, Cook, Shakir's a PPR flex, and then Dalton Kincaid, man, I thought he looked fantastic on Sunday Night Football against the Patriots. You can maybe throw out Keon Coleman if you need somebody in a deeper league. I think the Bills defense is bad, so I don't even want to necessarily think about the Bills D. On the Falcons side, you're playing Bijan and Drake London. I think if you have Kyle Pitts, you're going to try and find a way to get him in your lineup this week. I have a tough decision in my most important league. Like, do I do Kyle Pitts or Darren Waller? Those guys are kind of back to back in my rankings. So Pitts is still a top 10 tight end option if you need it. Michael Penix, though, super flex leagues only for me. We'll watch Mooney's reports this week and leave these guys here on the bench. I do think Tyler Algier, like in games where the Falcons are projected to win, Algier's worth a running back 3 flex opportunity. And last but not least, Bears at Commanders. Bears coming off a bye. Caleb Williams still playing like top 10, top 12 quarterback. If you have Swift, he's a running back 2. Odunze remains pretty elite, and DJ Moore is more of a wide receiver 3 flex. Bears defense is bad. I think these guys will be left on the bench for me. We'll watch Colston Loveland's practice reports this week. On the Commander side, you're starting Jaden Daniels. We got the Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt breakout game against the Chargers. I think he's a must-start running back 2. And Deebo Samuel is a must-start wide receiver 2. We'll watch Terry McLaurin's reports. Zach Ertz is on the way out here as he's slowing down, and we'll monitor these running backs here on the bench. So that's all I had for you guys in this one. I'm going to answer the final questions here from the chat, and we'll get out of here. I got some things to get going. So let's look at Antonio Lopez. We got some questions here. Thanks for hanging out, Antonio. I appreciate the questions. All right, so Flowers, Jordan Mason, and Justin Fields for Derrick Henry. You also have May and Caleb at QB. I mean, I think right now is a good opportunity to buy low on a guy like Derrick Henry with the injuries to Lamar Jackson and this Ravens entire team. Mason is on a bye this week. We also have Aaron Jones returning at some point, but I think Mason's going to continue to be 12 to 15 touches per game. And I think Flowers, assuming you have other wide receiver depth, I don't know if I like this trade, man. I think I'd rather have Flowers and Mason than Derrick Henry. I know you have all the quarterbacks there on the side, but I think Flowers and Mason are startable assets, and Derrick Henry right now, as long as Lamar Jackson's out, we don't know what we're getting with Derrick Henry. And if this season continues to go south for the Ravens, I don't know if I have a good feeling on Derrick Henry rest of the season. So I think straight up, I would take Flowers and Mason over Henry. That's kind of where I'm at. Bijan, Omarion, and Ayo Maynor for Bucky, Judkins, and Golden. All right, so we got some injured running backs here. What side do I want? I think I want the Bucky, Judkins, Golden side. Judkins is healthy. Bucky will be back, I think, in week. I think they have a bye coming up. I can't remember exactly when, but I think Bucky and Judkins excite me more than Bijan and Omarion. And then Golden over Ayo Maynor. To me, Ayo Maynor's kind of useless in the Titans offense. Like, I don't really want him on my redraft teams. Whereas Golden has the opportunity to continue doing what he's been doing. I know Christian Watson's coming back and Jaden Reed's coming back, but man, we're talking about a first-round talent at receiver that's going to continue to get big plays drawn up his way. I'm going to lean Bucky Judkins Golden side here. As good as Bijan is, I think Ayo Maynor's kind of useless. And Omarion, we're expecting him back in 5 games here, but that's still a long wait for me. Whereas I know Bucky's going to be back in a couple games. I know Judkins is just a hammer right now, and Golden provides more use than Ayo Maynor to me. So I'm going to lean Bucky Judkins Golden on that side. But there you go, guys. That's what I got for you today. This was fun. This is a different time zone for me. I'm usually doing this in the evening. But again, I'm going to be out of the country for the next 10 days or so. I will be back next weekend. So I apologize for no videos for the next week or so. If you guys do need anything, obviously I'm going to be probably on the move and doing a lot of traveling and stuff, but I'll try to answer any questions that I get, whether you guys comment on this YouTube video or one of my YouTube shorts, or you guys can always reach me at on Twitter X at the fellow KGB. So I appreciate you guys so much. thank you. I'm going to enjoy my time in Scotland as bye week here, and hopefully you guys get everything you need to continue to winning in fantasy football. And again, if you guys are new to the fellowship, please like the video. That helps me so much. It helps let other people know this is a good video, a good channel, all that stuff. Subscribe if you are new, and check out thefantasyfellowship.com. I put out a ton of free content as well as my membership content. So check that out. And again, enjoy the rest of your day. Good luck on your waivers. We'll see you guys next week. All right. Thank you. Peace.